It is a different experience. Almost there, folks. All right, is that readable to everybody on the screen?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Okay, go back, scroll down here a little bit. All righty then. Okay, Zach, I think you're up first.
All right, I'll go with 48.
Number 48.
So,
Okay, go for it.
what refers to an act that one needs to perform but only in certain circumstances? A, hypothetical imperative.
Okay, what does that mean? Why is it a hypothetical imperative?
Well, in contrast to the categorical imperative that Kant talks about, like where rules need to stay the same no matter what, hypothetical, like for instance, an example that just came to mind, I don't know if it's a really good one, but if I saw that my parents' house was on fire, I would, and the doors are locked, I would break in to try to get my family out. But in normal circumstances, I'm not going to just, go destroy my parents' property for no reason. I don't know if that's really a good example, but that's the only thing I can think of at the moment.
No, that is a perfect example. It's a situation where the rules only apply in specific situations. So it's imperative in those situations, but it is not a categorical mean, which means it should be applied all the time. Excellent. So I knock on my friend's door. They aren't home. I'm not justified in breaking down the door because I need to get back some item that I loaned them or that they borrowed. Okay, perfect.
I also like the example that you did during the last class where at home you don't have to wear pants or clothes because you're at home, but then in public you do. That's funny.
Well, I hope nobody found that off color, but it's true. It's not a rule that we, that it's a rule that we expect as soon as we leave the privacy of our own home or our backyard. Clothing is not considered optional. And in fact, there are laws that explicitly say that, right? Indecent exposure laws. All right. Tanner, are you with us today? Tanner going once. Tanner going twice. Okay, Anthony, you're up.
Okay, 1 second. Let me walk outside real quick. I didn't know how hard it was going to be able to hear me in there. So I did number 46.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, can you scroll up a little bit so I can read it off your thing? Okay.
Yeah,
blank refers to the goals that one wants to reach as distinct from what one needs to do to reach them. And that is B, the ends. That's basically just like the goal that you're trying to get through or trying to get to.
Okay, so one of the things that we read very often in this chapter is the idea that people should be ends, not means.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, the phrasing of that language sometimes gets a little bit confusing. So using this concept of question 46, can you explain what it means when we say that people should be ends, not means?
I actually found this part to be pretty interesting in the reading, where it's saying so means is like tools to use to get somewhere or to achieve something. It's saying that people shouldn't be tools or means, as they were calling it, to get to your ends. You should be treating them as like the goal to get to.
Okay, but what does that mean when we say that we should treat people as the goals we want to reach? That is what I think is the part that's kind of confusing.
What I think it's saying is that like if you treat people like their means, you're basically just using them rather than, oh geez, I don't know. This is a little confusing.
Yeah, no, you're correct. The idea is the book says that we should not use people as tools to achieve our own goals. But so when it says that we should treat people as ends, that's where it gets confusing. Can anybody add any more insight into that idea? What it means to say that people should be the end, not the means. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the end would be like a relationship, like at the end.
Yes, our goal in interacting with other people should not be to simply either manipulate or coerce them into doing what we need so that we get what we want. A priority should be building the relationship with that person. I should not use my relationships to force people to do what I want. Any action that I take in relationship to other people should be mutually beneficial as much as possible. It should be as good for them to help as it is for me to receive that help. Okay, and when I start to use manipulation of any type, I'm starting to use them as a means rather than an end. My goal should be that we both should benefit from this. Now, I have teenagers. There are times where I have to tell my son, yes, you have to do your homework, right? And he's going, well, I don't want to. Now, if I force him to do his homework, okay, or I tell him that he has to take out the trash because it builds character, how does that fit with this argument right here?
I guess it would be kind of like he doesn't see that he's getting something out of it, but you know that he would be getting something out of it. Like you were saying, it's building his character. So to him, it kind of feels like he's being a means, but you know, in the end, you're treating him as an end.
Okay, that's possibly true, and I would hope that's true. But there are a lot of times that I will admit as a parent, I don't want to go outside in the snow and put the garbage in the garbage can. That's my kid to do it. I don't want to do the dishes. I've been at work all day, so I kind of justify, this is kind of how you pay to live in my house. I'm joking about that because my son should not have to pay, quote unquote, to live. But at the same time, I also don't believe that any kind of responsibility or duty to the family from his existence in the home, I don't see that helps him grow and develop the traits of character that I want, that I know that if he has, are going to make him a meaningful member of society and lead to his future growth. But I have to ask myself, are you asking him to do this because you truly believe that doing so is going to help him become a better person? Or are you asking him to do it because you don't want to? And if the answer is I don't want to, I've moved from treating a person as an end to a person as a means. He's here, I can force him to do it so that I don't have to. That is not ethical behavior. That's where we have to look at our own motives. Sam.
So
like the best gift you could give a young person is teaching them there's no such thing as a free meal. Okay? Teaching them personal responsibility, teaching them the value of hard work, but it can be very hard sometimes to distinguish between, am I asking them to do that because it is for their own good or because it's for my good? One of the things that ethics demands of us is that we have to constantly challenge and check our decision and thought-making process and to be honest about it. There's a lot of things that have been done. Well, I'm doing this for your own good. There are some times where that is true, and there are some times where that is a bald-faced lie. Okay? And that's what this is getting at. Okay.
Even for me around my house, there are a lot of things that my kids can't do, but I still want them to be able to contribute, to teach them to be good social people in media or in society. So stuff like taking out the garbage is their responsibility, whether they want to do it or not, or whether I want to do it or not. It has to get done.
Yes, that's an excellent point. In a family situation, it's a very unique kind of difficult situation in that I want to teach my kids values and characteristics that are going to help them. And there has to be some type of distribution and delegation of duties in order for a household to work. And so I completely agree. Hey, they might not be able to do X, Y, and Z, but they can do A, B, and C. And that helps to distribute responsibilities and delegate responsibilities because everybody has a limited amount of energy to be able to get things done, right? Just because I'm at work doesn't mean that when I get home that I just get to kick back and have everybody else serve me, because my wife has been working all day. My kids have been in school. And that's not a passive, laid-back, easy experience. So in order to show respect, we all have to distribute those abilities. But when we talk about distribution of abilities, this is why we're talking about roles and fairness. This is why we're talking about justice and equal distribution of benefit and burden. And that gets into, how do I decide? What do I ask my kids to do? What do I not ask my kids to do? What do I expect my partner to do? There is nothing genetic about washing clothes or cleaning a bathroom. That is not a gender-specific activity, contrary sometimes to tradition, right? I have to be willing to share those burdens if I'm going to say that I'm being fair. Yes.
I guess this is kind of off topic, but you were mentioning like your kids doing like work, like so they pay to live or whatever. Well,
which is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
I live with my parents currently now, and I don't want them to ask me to do stuff. I just do it that way. They know they feel better about me. You know, I'm not like a bum just living at their house, you know.
Mm-hmm. Because as a self-aware person, we're looking at the distribution of responsibility in terms of maintenance of the house. And remember, from the very beginning of the semester, that's what Aristotle called economy, right? And so we recognize that interacting with our parents, these are all the things that have to happen for this household to stay. And if I'm going to be an effective and valuable member of this household, there are things that I need to do. And that becoming more self-aware is that we sometimes take on responsibilities or allow other people to do that, rather than simply just saying, well, this is what society or this is what culture has taught me. Washing clothes and cooking is a female responsibility. Maybe. But we live in a world where a lot of those, what we call gender roles, have changed, or we're really questioning, is there anything about them that has anything to do with gender? I know that my wife does not, because she's a woman, enjoy cleaning toilets. There is nothing genetic about that. She does it because she has time to do that. But that doesn't mean she enjoys it, and it doesn't mean that I cannot or should not or don't do it. There are many times where I'll come home and I will cook because I enjoy it. Because she's a great cook, but there's times when you just because you can do it doesn't mean you want to. But that's what this all gets back to, is recognizing we have to look at how and why we treat people the way we do. Okay, thank you, Haley, for adding that. I appreciate that. Okay, Scott, are you with us? Scott going once? Scott going twice? All right, Jackson, are you with us? Jackson going twice?
Sorry, I am.
Oh, great. Okay.
I forgot
What would you like?
I was double muted. I wanted to do. Come here. Okay, I wanted to do number 47.
Number 47, we're right there. Perfect. Okay, go for it.
So it was that blank refers to the moral obligation to perform an act that is right, regardless of consequences. And of those options, duty is the only one that fits. It's like a duty is a requirement that you have to fulfill, regardless of anything else.
Okay. And I love that sense of obligation. It is an obligation that we either accept because of a contract, meaning I will do these actions in exchange for other ones. It can be a personal obligation. There is no contract, but because I have a kid, I am willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that they receive what they need to take. I don't sign a paper that creates that relationship, right? There's no piece of paper out there that says I am contractually obligated to my son or daughter, other than, well, the law says that if I have been established as a father by paternity test, there could be, but I have taken on personal obligations. Okay? So for example, I have accepted the personal obligation. I made a promise to my kids. If you go to Idaho State University, because I'm a faculty member, you automatically get half tuition. Because I have student loans that I'm still paying off, and I want to help my kids avoid student loans, I have told them, if you go to ISU, on top of the half tuition, your mother and I will pay for half of the remaining tuition, because that way you can take a summer job or a part-time job and be able to focus. I mean, because I have a lot of you, even in this class, who are working more than you should in order to really dedicate yourself to your studies. That does not mean that you don't need to work, because you have other obligations, that you have other duties you've accepted. But I don't want my kids to have to work so much that they have no time to study or experience college as we've created it. Okay? That moral obligation to perform an act regardless of the consequences. It might get expensive for my wife and I to try to pay for half of their tuition after half tuition. But I'm willing to do extra work in order to do that because of what I feel is a moral obligation to my kids. I don't say that because I'm some great important person, but it's a good illustration of what we're talking about here. Okay? All right. Thank you, Jackson. I appreciate that. All right, Caden, what do you got?
Well, I forgot my paper. Could you scroll and?
Is there any kind of a number that you're thinking?
Well, about 34.
34? Sounds like a reasonable one. Go for it.
Let's see. So which of the following most true to the concept of negative rights? I'd say D refers to the guarantee that individuals and organizations may earn freely and keep what they have made.
That's E. I think this one, D is correct.
Okay,
It
yeah.
refers to those rights that require others not to interfere with me or whatever I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
That's a negative right. Okay? The Second Amendment is, as crazy as it sounds, is a negative right. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. That's the language of the Second Amendment, correct? Okay, we're not going to get into the militia stuff because that's for legal scholars. The language of the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, that is a beautiful example of a negative right. My ability to own a gun, as interpreted, as far as I understand, not being a constitutional scholar, you cannot prevent or interfere with my ability to acquire and own guns, ammunition, or other related supplies. I can regulate it, but I cannot restrict or deny it. Okay? Any questions about that one? Any comments? All right. Kaysen, are you with us? Kaysen going once? Kaysen going twice? All right. Winter, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Can I do number 45?
Number 45. Okay, go for it.
All right. So I don't have the list. Okay, so it says blank refers to activities that no one needs or that one needs to do in order to reach a goal. And I said A means.
A means, yeah, this is the mechanism by which we accomplish the goal that we take. Okay, so why do we even talk about means?
Because in certain situations, it kind of like depending on your ethical like perspective and the way you think about things, the means can really matter in like your decision making. I'm trying to think of if it was the fairness one or if it was the other one that like focuses on means.
Okay, yeah, the entire idea of means is the mechanism that we choose to go about accomplishing the goal that we have. The big deal with this was in the 1400s. I think it's the 1400s. I can't remember specifically. There's an Italian guy named Machiavelli, and he writes a pamphlet or book that revolutionizes how we think about things, and it's called The Prince. And this entire book is a kind of guideline or suggestions about how princes or governments should operate. And basically makes the argument that what?
He's talking about the means, how they should get what they want done.
That in order, because I'm a prince, the person who rules, I need to do whatever it takes to get what I need to do done. Essentially, Machiavelli is the first person to make the argument that the means or that the ends justify the means. As long as I can provide safety and security and prosperity to my people, I am justified in doing whatever it takes to do that.
Or like utilitarian.
Not exactly. A utilitarian says that I'm going to look at the overall benefit to the society and try to choose the thing that is going to benefit the most people with the least negative impact to the least number of people. The ends justify the means says, I don't even need to worry about that. As long as I take care of these people, I can do whatever I need to however many people. I can do as a government, To protect my people, I can inflict any kind of damage that I want to on any other country to protect my interests. Okay, there is a documentary, came out in the early, probably about maybe 2005, 2006, called The Fog of War. Okay, and it's a documentary of, oh crap, I just forgot his name. He was the national security advisor during the Johnson and Nixon administrations. He was basically the one that came up with the entire war plan for Vietnam. And it's killing me that I can't remember his name. But he was working in the War Department during World War II. He and some others were the ones that came up with the idea of firebombing. We dropped incendiary bombs, okay, basically napalm, on population centers in Japan, knowing that the majority of buildings in Japan were made out of wood. So they would be highly susceptible to fire. So we drop bombs on population centers during World War II. Why?
Very effective, I guess.
Well, for a couple of specific reasons. We knew that the Japanese homeland, we had gotten to the point where we had taken Okinawa. The next step was going to have to be an invasion of the Japanese homeland. We knew that the armies of the Japanese would be so zealous in the protection of the Japanese homeland, it would literally take thousands of human lives for every foot of ground that we took. That entire population centers would be engaged in the fight. Men, women, children, age, young, doesn't matter. Everybody would be armed, everybody would fight if we had to fight on the Japanese soil. The thought was, in order to prevent an all-out attack on Japan, if we firebombed, if we did something so horrific or devastating, like burning entire cities, we hoped that that would do what?
Maybe they surrender.
That we could push them to surrender. And it didn't happen. So we said, okay, let's go to plan B, which was atomic bombs. Again, our idea was we are willing to sacrifice a population center like Hiroshima or Nagasaki as a means to try to impose our will on Japan and force them to capitulate. Rumsfeld. That was Bush's.
I think I had it pulled up.
You know, look it up, because it's going to kill me if I can't think of who does it.
Robert McNamara?
McNamara. Oh, good grief. Yes, Robert McNamara is the guy that they interviewed for this entire thing. My reason for bringing up this entire story is in this movie that they brought out right after the beginning of the Second Iraq War, they interviewed McNamara, and he said, I have no doubt if we had lost World War II after the firebombing and the atomic bombs, I would have been hung for war crimes. The only reason I didn't get hung for war crimes is because what? We won. The ends justify the means. And he says that's wrong. And this is a guy who's uniquely qualified to discuss the topic. But the point is, it gets back to this idea. What are we willing to do to get to the goal? Sorry, big, long discussion for a very short point. But that's why we're studying this. Okay? This is why we have to ask questions when, for example, the owners of Red Lobster have a huge packed night on Friday and then put up a notice on Saturday morning saying we're closed. without any notice to their employees. Now, I don't know why they did it. Okay, but a similar thing happened at Black Bear Diner. Same thing happened at what used to be Ruby Tuesdays. Okay, and in both of those cases, the owners were interviewed and they were asked, why did you do it this way? Why didn't you tell your employees ahead of time? It wasn't like you didn't know. It wasn't like you went to bed on Friday and you woke up Saturday morning and said, I've had enough. You knew where your finances were. You knew what was happening. But they said, I can't afford to pay anybody anymore, so I can go this far and then I have to stop. Does that affect people?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Every one of those people that was working is suddenly out of work. Okay? We have to ask ourselves, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? How are we doing it? That is the fundamental question of business. Ends and means. That's what it's all about. Okay? All right. Anybody have any comments or things like that they would like to add? Okay, yeah.
Is this like all Red Lobster locations, or is this just the one here?
Yeah, it's the locally owned
Okay.
Red Lobster here.
I'll just be that guy and say, when we're talking about World War II and the bombings,
Mm-hmm.
they were probably focused on the ends more than the means.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just say that because if we wanted just to go wipe out Japan, that was an option.
Mm-hmm.
But instead we're like, how can we make them surrender so we don't kill as many people?
And that was the balance. That was such a hard question to answer because we had already seen what happened when we took over Saipan, Guadalcanal, and Okinawa, and the blood that was shed on those islands is horrific. There are films, if you need to see what it was like to understand, you can watch films like Hacksaw Ridge, the short series, The Pacific. Folks, this was not pretty. I mean, if you've ever seen Saving Private Ryan and realizing to a degree, a very tiny degree, what it might have been like on that beach, you can see how officers higher up the chain felt, I cannot just put people into the meat grinder and just sacrifice all of these lives in order to achieve our goals. We have to do hard things in order to achieve that. Okay. Kyle, I think you're up.
All righty. Has 51 been done?
Let's see. That's a great question. As far as I can tell, the answer is no. It's available.
Okay, so the two commonly cited sources of duties were the nature of the universe.
Okay.
And humanity, I thought.
Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, what does it mean though?
So the nature of the universe, it was like how they explained the world's nature, I guess, or in the sense of morals, it said, I believe. So like the moral nature of the universe, I guess.
Okay, so these are laws of nature. These are things that just simple existence demands these obligations. Okay? These are the same laws that apply to the animal kingdom or the plant kingdom as they do to the laws of, or to humans, right? There are certain things that have to happen. Okay? There are certain duties that we just have to do. Okay, keep going.
And then the other one, humanity, was like what it means as far as right or wrong to be a human being.
Okay, The idea is the laws of nature have no morality to them. This is the kill or be killed, right? Fight or flight type duties. But because we are human, because we have the ability to be self-aware, because we have the ability to acknowledge right and wrong, there are certain additional duties that exist and apply to humans that don't necessarily apply to other creatures.
Right.
So, for example, funny story. It just drives me. It's funny to watch. My kids. We have 2 cats, one male, one female. Female's a couple years older than the male, and just as big as the male. But whenever we put out food at night, the male will come up and push the female out of the way and eat first, and she will let it. And my wife and my kids get upset. So they go and take the male cat and will put him in a room or put him outside until the female cat eats first, because we don't like him being a bully.
Right.
Why is that so funny? Because cats don't have any sense of bullying, right? Cats just simply operate on certain natural laws and duties. And so for us to try to impose human morals or human behaviors on cats is foolhardy, especially because they're cats. Cats don't care about anybody, right? They are a law unto themselves. Yet we try to impose human morals and behavior on them. Sam?
That's why dogs are better.
When a cat pays attention to you, you know you earned it.
I was gonna say, cause like, we have a puppy, golden retriever, and we'll leave the older dogs, we have puppies on like dog puppy food, and puppy will just go and eat
Eat everything they can get their hands on.
Yeah, so we have to do the same thing, kind of separate them from.
Yeah, it's natural law. If I'm hungry, I eat. Do I care about the relative age or needs of other animals? No. If I'm hungry, I eat. If I need to go to the bathroom, I go to the bathroom, et cetera, so on and so forth. There's a couple of other things that go in that statement that I don't need to bring up in class. But the point is, we cannot impose human morals on animals because they do not have the capacity. They have the capacity to fulfill natural duties, but they do not have the capacity to live up to human duties.
Not naturally.
Not naturally. Okay? We can train them in some degree, right? If you ever watch a seeing eye dog, their ability to deny their natural behavior is freakish. But they cannot achieve that by themselves. They have to be trained that way by humans.
Correct.
It's not possible for dogs to develop that behavior on their own. Okay. All right, Haley, I think you're up.
I'm going to do number 30.
Number 30. Okay.
Jesse works in a music store in New York. The owner of the shop takes away all of Jesse's earnings by threatening that he will report Jesse to the police for fudging the store's accounts. This act of denying Jesse his rightful hard-earned money is a violation of the right to possessions. In the reading, it talked about what's ours along with what we make or earn. We have the right to keep and do with as we wish. So for the store owner to threaten him with what he's earning would be a right of his possessions.
Okay. So how do I answer the fact if Jesse has been stealing or messing with the numbers? Isn't Jesse interfering with the owner's right of possession?
Yeah, but there's a way to go about it, but just by taking what he's earning is not the right way to go about it.
Exactly. That's the primary purpose of government, is to be able to resolve disputes of rights between individuals. We do not have the right to take those rights into our own hands. We do not have the right to, for example, a classic comment, you cannot take justice into your own hands. Okay, whether or not it's corrupt, whether or not it's efficient, whether or not it is fair, the primary purpose of government is for us to be able to adjudicate laws and and literally to take away the rights of others. Because we associate that with law, which is common contractual agreements in a society that say only certain people have the right to take away freedom. Police. Only certain people have a right to take away your liberty. That's the court system or the legal system, right? Because otherwise, we would constantly be subject to people's vague interpretations of what they can or cannot do. Okay? All right, excellent. Megan, are you with us today?
Yeah, can I do number 22?
Number 22. Okay, go for it.
It says, in a dictatorship, the citizens of a country are persecuted if any attempt is made to criticize government in power. This serves as an example of the violation of which right of the common people. And I said, a right to free speech.
Okay, and we've talked about this in other settings. The primary concept of free speech is what? What free speech do we have a right to?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember. I know what you're talking about, I can't remember exactly what it is.
Essentially, the right to free speech is the right to criticize what? The government. We can protest and complain about the government. Does it mean I can say whatever I want, whenever I want, wherever I want? No. Does it apply, if, for example, in the private sector or in business? No. I do not have the right to say whatever I want to about my boss without repercussion. The sole concept of the freedom of speech is the right to criticize and to make or to request, what is the word? A fair grievance of or redress our grievances. We can demand government make up for grievances or problems that we experience. We can petition all we want to for the government to fix problems. We do not have the right to say whatever we want to without consequence. That's what this is getting at. Okay? Excellent. Any comments about this one? Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, I think I talked about this in the forums or the post, but like my dad needed a handicap ramp. And the little community historical district that we can't put a handicap ramp on because it changes the look of the building.
Yep.
And that, we have the right to free speech and blah, 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 but ended up having to threaten to get orders involved because of how they wanted to push it through governmental means or whatever. So.
Right. Do I have the right to be able to file a grievance and to be able to get that readdressed by government? Absolutely. Can the government be at war or at odds with itself? Absolutely. Okay. But what we don't have the right is to be able to say whatever we want. Okay. Let's see. Josh, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can I do number 24?
Number 24. Go for it.
Which of the following is true about duties? It's A, they are not concerned about how people get along with others.
Okay. While that is true, what does that mean?
Well, we all have our duties of responsibility, but just because we have our duties doesn't mean we have to get along with each other. I have everything I got to follow in my daily life, but doesn't mean I have to like everyone that I come across.
I don't have to like it. I don't have to be nice. I just have to comply. There is no, in the concept of duty or obligation, does not mean I have to be nice about it. Doesn't mean I have to be pleasant. I do have to comply. Okay. All right. Logan, are you with us? Logan? Logan going once? Logan going twice? Okay, Cattell?
Yeah, I'm still higher now. How about 65?
Number 65. Let's see. Okay.
On this one.
What's that?
There's a lot on this one.
Well, I kind of messed up the numbers, but this is a different book than the one we've been using.
Oh,
So different test bank.
okay.
Okay.
So it says, refers to the ethical duty of ourselves, requirements to respect our being by not harming or abusing ourselves. And how do we do to ourselves? No. No harm.
I'm sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
Duty to ourselves, no harm.
Okay, so the duty against harm. So why would it be an ethical obligation to not harm ourselves? Seems like that should be a personal decision.
Well, I'm sorry, is that a question for Tom?
It could be having an illness.
What's that?
You could have a mental illness, they're not going to hurt themselves, you want to intervene that.
Okay. Okay.
I was gonna say, it could change how others think, like, like what they want. I don't know, like if I were to be doing something that hurt me, like I know my parents would definitely not like it,
Okay.
It's ethical just to respect what they want, I guess.
Okay.
By harming yourself, the contributions you could give to society, whether like you or your word to society.
Okay. Yeah, our ability to contribute to society is significantly reduced if we hurt ourselves. And I think that if we believe that there is a right to life, then our ability to harm ourselves, if we cannot harm others, that same restriction, thou shalt not do no harm to others, applies to ourselves as well. Okay? Anybody want to add something on that one? Okay, so this gets tricky because, for example, we have the question of doctor-assisted suicide or euthanasia. Beyond the moral questions of suicide and sin and things like that, we beg the question, if we have an ethical obligation to life, does the quality of life factor into that question? Well, Dr. Kevorkian is kind of an easy thing, but if I know that I'm going to suffer from significant pain and that it is a terminal case, and I also know that my family are going to waste and wear not only their emotional but financial means in trying to take care of me, even though there is nothing that they can do to lessen the pain or cure the condition, am I morally obligated to continue my life? Or not morally, ethically. Now we got to separate the question of morality versus ethics. Okay? So from a utilitarian perspective, okay, remember the goal is if I take myself out of the equation, is doctor-assisted euthanasia a benefit to society? Well, if we look at the amount of cost and emotional impact on others, one could make a utilitarian argument that euthanasia, as long as it follows a strict protocol, could be argued to be ethical.
Yeah, if you disregard, years upon years of life experience, you just cut that out. Like I can see the argument, but the thing is, the way that we value experience versus something like finances, I think is very skewed. And the fact is, we elderly have things to contribute to society that may not be financial, but knowledge-based, but we're so centered towards money. I think it's skewed to the point where it's wrong.
Okay, and that's a completely legitimate ethical argument, okay? But bear in mind, this is not others saying, we're gonna put you to death because we don't wanna pay. We're saying the person in question is the one that is asking for this.
Right, society kind of.
But society creates that pressure that says, you should not waste money on those who cannot contribute. Right? Again, it's not that I have an answer, it's that ethics demands that we have a process by how we come up to that solution that is defendable and articulate. Okay? That's just this question of self-harm perfectly lines into that. Okay? Porter, are you with us?
Can I do, yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can I do number 27?
Number 27. Okay, go for it.
So refers to an ethical rule that does not depend on circumstances. Let's see, so that was D.
A categorical imperative. Okay, so an imperative is an obligation, duty, or demand. Categorical, this phrase, the term seems really strange considering what it's trying to say. Okay, but so what it's saying is, in anything in this category applies. So what we're talking about is a rule that says in all situations, this must apply. Can you give me some examples of what might be some categorical imperatives? These are rules that should apply to anybody. And if they apply to me, they apply to everybody.
Like, don't lie.
Don't lie, don't steal, don't kill. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say you must wipe after going to the restroom.
We need to clean ourselves after going to the restroom. We must pay our taxes. Okay? The Buffalo Bills can never win the Super Bowl. That's a very, very obscure media reference from a show called The X-Files. Okay? There was a rule. Guy comes out and said, and he's like the head of of all conspiracies. He is Q, and he says the Buffalo Bills will never win the Super Bowl. Okay, so yeah, these are categorical imperatives. These are ones that deny any exemptions. There is no time when it is okay to do X. Okay. All right, Sam.
53.
Number 53.
What are positive and negative rights? Positive right is an obligation others have to help protect or preserve your basic negative rights. And negative rights are my ability to do something without being interfered. Examples of this would be like, you can't kill me. Then by extension, if I'm gonna die, you have to help me or do your best to help me.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Billy, are you with us?
I am.
Okay, what do you want?
Is 32 available? All the other ones got answered.
Let's see, 32. You are in luck.
Okay, so which of the following statements hold true for the concept of people as ends and not means? I didn't have this one prepared, but I think it refers to the requirement that people not be used as instruments to get something else, A.
That's a perfect one. Okay. Are there any others that are correct?
I'm not sure. I feel like there definitely are.
I think it's just A, right? So this idea that we cannot use people as tools to get to something, the people themselves and our relationship to them has to be how we act. It's basically, we cannot be sociopaths. That's the essential rule of people must be treated as ends and not means. Okay? Jack, are you with us? Jack going once? Jack going twice? Okay, Andrew.
Could I do number 17?
Number 17. Okay.
So which of the following statement holds true for the concept of duty to avoid wronging others? And that would be A, it refers to the duty to treat others as you would like to be treated by them.
Okay. Yep. The duty to a wrong other, yeah, it's to treat others as you would want to be treated. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so it looks like we've covered everything for today. And I want to make sure that everybody has enough time to be able to get some discussion of their, we're doing nulls and, or RALs and NOSIX distribution discussion or debate today, right? Okay. So I want to make sure that everybody has some time to do that. Before we do that, just a couple of things. Andrew last week or on Tuesday pointed out that the grade book had been set up so that it was only looking at the top 4 instead of the top 8. When I changed that, that dramatically changed some grades. Okay? And I have a feeling that some people might have taken a look at those grades and experienced heart palpitations, myocardial infarctions, and other nasty diseases. So here's what I'm going to do. Because my goal is to exercise or to adhere to my duty of beneficence. Extra points if anybody can tell me what the duty to beneficence is.
I got you.
What you got?
I get extra points.
Maybe.
You got extra points.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Hold on.
Oh, you should be able to tell it. I'm not going to let you look it up. Anybody? Duty to beneficence.
The duty to better others' lives.
The duty, we have a duty whenever possible to improve the lives of others.
I get extra credit for that, right? I didn't look it up.
I'll think about it.
Okay.
Okay. I have an obligation as an instructor to engage in beneficence, which means what? My goal, well, I don't like the word charity as much as my goal is to improve your lives as much as possible. I am not supposed to be a hard ass just to be a hard ass in this class. Okay, my goal is to try to be as kind as I can to you. So here is what I'm going to do. Okay, today is April 8th. You have until April 23rd. Let me check this date just to make sure. Okay, so that's basically 2 weeks from now. Some of you will not meet the 8 dilemma limit, meaning you will not have submitted 8 papers to meet the minimum requirement for case studies. I will accept any missing case studies between now and the 23rd. You can't turn them in because they're already closed in Moodle. What I'm going to do is you will email them to me and I will give you credit. I will not give you full points, but even partial points is better than nothing in terms of your grade. Is everybody good with that? Okay, so between now and the 23rd, email me missing dilemmas and you will get partial credit for those. That doesn't mean half. I'm going to use my judgment on this. Okay, but I will give you the option because I'm seeing a whole bunch of zeros and I don't see a lot of pathways for some students to be able to get where they need to go. I am willing to forego my right to, or my duty to obey the law that I established in class because of the duty to beneficence. Okay, is everybody cool with that? The answer better be yes. Except for those who have turned in 8 and are going, wait a minute, I kicked my butt to get these done. Why are you being nice? I'll have that conversation with anybody who wants it. Yes, Sam.
So I haven't been graded on my Muslim spider board.
The Muslim, I got so fixated on getting the cell phone toilet one done that I forgot to get the Muslim done. I will get that one finished. Yep. Andrew had brought that up earlier. So I will get that taken care of. I'm talking about assignments where you know that you didn't turn one in. Okay? My goal is to make sure all grades are ready so that next Tuesday we can do a grade audit. A grade audit is where you check, have I gotten a grade, whether I like it or not, have I gotten a grade for all my assignments? Is there anything missing? Okay? So there's that. You can make up case studies. Do not forget you have the major case study that is going to be due on the 25th. Okay, we extended the deadline on that. Okay, and you're going to have those posts that are going to be due during finals week. So there are still a few assignments left out there. There are points remaining. Do not abandon hope. Do not give up on me yet. Do not abandon your grade. You can still pull enough to get a C or better in this class. Okay? But you are going to have to do the work. Okay. That's about all I've got. So I'm going to break everybody into.
What about the daily double?
Yeah, got to do the daily double. Okay, so let's see. Out of 17 students. It has been 19, but for some reason the numbers are changing. So as long as everybody who's on the list, okay, I better make it 19 just to avoid problems. All right, so I apologize off the bat to Winter. Who knows, maybe it'll come around again. All right.
Are you kidding me?
So Kyle always gets it, man. That guy's got to buy some lottery tickets. That's one. Winter, that's two.
Hey.
And Jackson. And Jackson is here today.
I'm leaving.
Well, all right, so Jackson, Winter, and Kyle. I don't know.
Yay.
All right. So let me close that. Let me put everybody in your break rooms.
I'm gonna grab some water real quick.
Okay. And we will see you guys in a bit.
This was the one where we were talking about.
Okay, I don't know why people.
All the money, or is the money, should it be distributed and kind of consolidated to the local, so there's not such a huge wealth gap between classes. I think if you're a realistic person, you should prefer that conservative kind of mindset. I keep all of what I have. The idea behind that, why that's a good concept, because if I have more wealth, I can distribute that wealth to my family, the things that are important to me directly. Unfortunately, people don't think about giving or distributing the wealth to those around them. That just, people don't do that. So because of that, you have to have a system in which I take wealth from you and distribute it on your behalf, because you are not responsible enough to do it. Like this, if you're a religious person, you like the Bible, you understand conservative, that is how we should live our life. We should make our money, then share our money. Because the Bible doesn't say just make all the